she doesn't really care about talking about feelings and emotions. She always brings that up in conversations. And I think it's interesting because, so many people in Montauk society don't share their emotions. They have pills to make them feel happy. And I think it's really showing of her own emotional maturity, even though she is a much younger age compared to Cassius.
Okay, I kind of want to talk about the people, because I think in Caesar's or Brutus' society, they don't really talk much about them besides the first 10 pages of the book. But I'm pretty sure they're relatively happy, while the people in Montauk society are everyone's sort of equal in their society, while Brutus's they have a
caste system.
System, like a hierarchy or something. There's always someone with more power, with Caesar having mostly the most. But yeah, I think that the fact that they take pills in Montauk society, and I feel I want to build on that.
Yeah. So the people in Brutus's society, they really change their opinions a lot. They're always flip-flopping back and forth between two sides. During the assassination of Caesar, at first they were on Caesar's side, but then Brutus goes up and talks, and they're on Brutus's side. But then Mark Antony goes and he speaks against Brutus and says it was all for his own benefit, and everybody hates Brutus again. So I feel like the people in Julius Caesar flip-flop back and forth a lot, whereas the people in Fahrenheit 451 can't really flip-flop back and forth on opinions because there really aren't any opinions in their society.
I think that the Montauk society, they don't really have much power, but I feel like the people in Brutus' society do, because Brutus is trying to give power to the people, and really they're the ones who kind of-ish decide what's going to happen, because they're the one who led the riot and the downfall of Brutus's plan and everything.
Yeah, for Fahrenheit 451, I think that
so I think that's enough about the people. We can now talk about how Brutus's Brutus's motivation could be his greatest flaw or his worst flaw, just Montag, how his need and want for knowledge could be great and how it cannot be great. Do you have anything to say, Yusuf?
So Brutus's motivation stems from Clarice, and then when he finally realizes how messed up his society is, and then Brutus stems up from kind of manipulation. So I don't really think Brutus really believed what he was doing, because you could see him trying to justify it when he tries talking to his wife and how she doesn't agree with him and she doesn't believe in him, while Montag also, his wife also is kind of scared of him. They're both of their wives don't believe in them, and both of their motivations stem from other people. But I think when it's all said and done, that Brutus, we already talked about this, so I'm gonna go more to the middle, not when it's all done. Right after it happens, right when Caesar is dead, they kind of rejoice right there in that courtroom, and then right there when his city's nuked, they also rejoice. So I think Fahrenheit 451 only shows us when it's happening, right when it ends, while Julius Caesar shows us the after effect of Brutus's actions. It doesn't show us that for Montauk.
I think that Brutus he wasn't completely bad. Killing someone obviously is a terrible crime, but he did somewhat have a say in his own even when Cassius was convincing Brutus of doing things, he somewhat had his own morals, and he had his own opinion, because like he didn't listen to Cassius when he wanted to also kill Antony, and he also let Antony speak in the funeral. So like that also shows that Cassius, he wasn't like, even though he was played a big part in convincing Brutus, Brutus also had his own opinion. So it's very clear that it's his fault that Caesar died, and it's his fault that the rebellion started, because if he didn't let Antony talk, or if he wasn't fair to Antony, he wouldn't have started all this.
Yeah, I think Brutus admits that at the end, just when he before he dies, he admits that he was wrong. So I think it's kind of cool that we don't really know what happens after the city's nuked besides to go and save him. So I wonder if Montauk also ended up regretting his actions, like after say 5-10 years later, did he finally see the effects of not having this society? Did he see why there was what was the point of his society in the first place? I don't know if he wondered that. Because Brutus, we see that he was happy, and he finally realizes everything's a mess, everyone's dying, we can't survive like this, we need Caesar, we need order and stuff.
I think, judging by Montag's character, I think that he most likely would have probably regretted in the future, but I think he was just proud. He wasn't necessarily proud, but I think that it was the city being nuked or whatever. I think that was a new start for him, and I think that with Brutus too, his consequences came very quickly, because I think it affected him more than when the city got nuked than with Montag. I feel like with Montag it was kind of a new start for him, so I think he didn't feel as guilty, or I think he thought that the people that are in the city that was nuked, it was their choice because they didn't listen to him. So I think that in Brutus's decision, I think he regretted it because it affected his life and he lost everything. Whereas in Montag, he didn't. He was it was a new start for him, and I think that if it happened with Brutus too, if there was no rebellion, there was nothing, I feel like Brutus would not regret his decision in killing Caesar. I think that only after he lost everything, it did.
Yeah, I think that I think we should move on from this. I think we should start talking about Mildred, and then who was Brutus's wife? His name again?
I don't know. I forgot.
Okay, we'll just say Brutus's wife. I think that we see Mildred constantly she's scared of Montauk. She's why are you doing this? Why are you trying to ruin my life? Not our life, but her life instead. Oh, her name was Portia. Her name was Portia, I remember. And then Portia was there's a scene where she when Brutus starts lying to her, she's she feels treated unfairly. So I honestly think that Montauk he never treated his wife correctly with the same respect he should have been giving her. And then Portia, I don't think Brutus also treated her respect. I think eventually Brutus treated her with respect, but throughout the story, Montauk was constantly trying to force his wife into books and stuff, even though she didn't want to, and she made that clear multiple times. And Portia, she constantly told Brutus it's not a good idea. You're gonna regret it, which he did. I just don't think they had respect for that with their wives.
I also think that in Montag with his wife, Mildred, I think that they didn't love each other, and I think they both didn't respect each other, which made Montag think it was okay to force his idea on them. Both Montag and Brutus, they both forced their ideas, and they didn't think about what other people thought. They just kind of forced it on them. It happened so abrupt, it was impulsive for Brutus to kill Caesar. He didn't care about what anything thought. He just thought it was right because it was his morals, and also Montag, he thought it was his morals, so he thought it was correct to force his ideas on Mildred and to force his ideas on the city. Even if it might have been good, I don't think he was guilty enough.
I think it was ironic that like Beatty didn't really listen to Montauk, so then Montauk didn't really listen to Mildred, or like Cassius thought he was on top of the world, so then Brutus. I feel like what Brutus and Montauk were receiving, they were like they were both treated with like disrespect a little bit. I don't think Brutus treated disrespect, but then I do know that Montauk. I feel like he took what Beatty was treating him with, and then put like inflicted that same pain onto Mildred.
Yeah, I think that's a good ending point to our podcast. Thank you for listening.